Okay, chapter 4, if I can never get the slideshow to go. Okay, come on, you can do it. There it goes. All right, why is this so slow? Come on. Okay, planning for security. What's that saying? Those who don't plan to fail. I think it's something like that. Y'all ever heard that? Those who don't plan to fail. Kind of like with software development. Prior to D2L, I actually wrote an online grading system for the students. I made my own, and it was funny because I got some rule. You could take a quiz and you could see your grades online. That was available before D2L. WebCT was way before any of these schools even offered any features like that. And it was funny because one of my students, because I used it at Park University as well, and my students loved it. And they submitted comments to the main campus about it. Said the only thing that could make his class better is if he gave popcorn and whatever, played a movie during class or something. It was some weird. So the campus called me about it, and I showed them what I made. And again, it was way before D2L and all that. But when I made that program, I didn't really plan it well. So what I did was I wrote it, and it worked. Then I was like, man, I really made a mistake. I wanted to modify it, but I couldn't. The way it was written, I was kind of stuck. So I rewrote it. And then I wanted to modify it again, and I couldn't because the way I rewrote it, I couldn't. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe this time I'll sit down and I will actually think about it and plan what I want to do first. And it was amazing. It worked out so much better, and I actually used it for years. Okay, so planning is kind of important. Think of it like building a house. Can you imagine building a house without a blueprint? Anyone here ever have a house built? Just me? I did not like that. I didn't like doing it because what killed me was I bought it, and it was going to take them like 9 months to build it. But Thanksgiving week until after New Year's, they didn't touch it. It was killing me. I go by there every day. I'm like, where are they? Where's all the workers? So I contact the builder. Oh, they're on vacation. Literally from before Thanksgiving until after New Year's, it was killing me. But I'm kind of glad we had blueprints. And blueprints is the planning phase, obviously. Then we talked about implementation phase. I found out in my house. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but I have a very large living area, and the span of it is very wide. Well, it turns out they didn't put the correct beams in there. So when the inspector or whatever, the code enforcement guy came out to inspect the framing, he failed them. They had to go back and redo all the beams in my attic because they couldn't support the width of the room. So again, the planning is very important. Then implementing the plan is very important, and stuff like that. So, but planning. And we're going to talk a whole bunch more about this. Governance says set of responsibilities and practices exercised by the board and executive management. It's always important the president does stuff. Is behind everything. And I tell you, when I applied for a job here, I wanted to start in January 2000. I know. Were y'all born in January 2000? Probably not. Yeah, you all should have been born at that point. Okay. I don't know. You're pretty young. Were you born then?
No, I was born. I thought you meant that year. I was born in 1998.
Oh, wow. A year old. Okay. But it was funny because I applied for the job, and I applied in the fall. I did all my interviewing right before Christmas, but then I didn't get hired. And I'm literally asking, so I call the president's office, and I'm like, did I get the job? And they're like, we don't know. There's no decision been made yet. I mean, this is after New Year's. School starts, the 15th or 19th or something? I'm like, well, how many people interviewed? For because you interview in the division, then it goes on to the second interview, then the third interview. So I said, well, how many people went out for the third interview? They said, oh, just one. So obviously that was me. So did I get the job? Well, we don't know yet because the regions had to approve it. So, they talk about here how the board and the executive management, they all wanted to hire me, but you need approval from upper management to do that. And literally, the regions didn't meet until the Thursday after classes started. So I called the dean. I'm like, what is the deal? Am I going to be hired before classes start? She goes, I have no idea. They haven't approved it. But I do already have your office key, and your office is available if you'd like to come in and move in. But again, they needed the official approval of upper management. Same with writing policies; they had to be behind it. Okay. Yes. Okay. Provide strategic direction. When I was the faculty senate president in 2009, I was on all these committees. More committees than you've ever wanted to be on in your entire life. I was on the strategic planning committee. Wow, I wanted to sit there and stab myself in the eye. It was like, because you're looking, where are we going 5 years from now? And I don't know about you guys. If I ran my own business, I was the owner. I did everything. So you think it was pretty easy to make decisions? Yeah, my business. I can decide what I'm going to do, and I can do it. But I tell you, in this committee with like 20 people in there, how hard do you think it is to make decisions? Wow, it sucked. It sucked really, really, really bad. But they're important. Okay, they are important. I made an assignment, and I had another student take it again and provide feedback to make sure the wording was right and stuff like that. So it's always important to get other people to help. Okay, so they're talking about governance and people helping, stuff like that. Okay, here are some of the goals: strategic alignment, risk management. Okay, what is risk management? Okay, we're a public school. You think there's any risk in operating in Rose State? Yeah, we have you guys in here. You could be a terrorist or a bad guy or a thief or whatever. Think about these buildings. You could fall and break your leg. There's all kinds of risks involved in owning a school. We give you access to computers. You could get them infected. Not just that. The president, Terry Britton, the prior president, I'm getting spam from him, I'd say at least once a month, about Viagra or something. He's got to have me in his contacts at home, and he's always getting infected because I always get the email from him. So it's tough, but there's always risks involved. And resource management. Where should we spend our money? We got no, we have two buses here. I don't know if you know that. Is anyone on the sports teams in here? Well, we have two buses, an older one and a newer one. It was funny because when we got the new bus, this was actually a few years ago, we were very short on money at that point. People were saying, wait a minute, Rose State's short on money, yet they go out and buy a brand new 55-passenger bus? Sounds pretty shaky, doesn't it? So what it is, our financial guy got up, he says, well, we've actually planned for this bus for the last 8 years. And it's been budgeted for, and money's been allocated years ago. So it's not like we decided today, man, I'm going to go out and buy a new bus. So resource management, how are you going to use what you got? Are you going to buy new stuff? I would y'all seen the carpeting in like my office? Some of you, everyone ever been to my office? I think that's the original carpeting from 72. It sucks so bad. We had a carpet guy come out to talk about carpeting where the cyber lounge is going to be. And I had him give me a quote from my office. And I went to the dean. I'm like, here's the deal. We're getting my office carpeted as well, or I will pay to get it carpeted because it sucks that bad. What can it cost? $200-$300? It can't be that much. But performance measures. Here at Rose State, we have a lot of degree programs. We get rid of some. How do you think we decide which ones to get rid of? Anybody?
Population values.
I know.
Population and popularity.
Popularity, and graduation rates. That's a really big deal. If we have no one graduating, we have no one completing. So why have a degree program if no one's completing it? So performance measures. Are you producing something? Okay. And the value delivery. Are you, hey, you know what? I bought all this stuff. Are you actually going to do something with it? I was actually talking literally 10 minutes before class. I made a brand new project for the security auditing course because there's a tool called Nmap. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. Well, we use Nmap in quite a few of the classes here, and we scan computers, look for vulnerabilities. But in the real world, if you're going to break into Rose State, you're probably going to do it from home. So you're going to try to break in from home, try to break in through the firewall. So I actually made a project doing that. So we're trying to, change stuff and make it better and make it more real world. And I tell you, students are really freaking out on this assignment. But like, there's no computers up. I said, yeah, there's a firewall. So once you get to that class, you'll understand. But it's are you actually doing anything is what they're talking about here. and who's in charge of what. Now, we got all these people here. Do you think Rose State actually has someone in every one of those positions? Think we have a chief executive officer? Yeah, we have a CEO. That's kind of like our president. Okay. Chief security officer, chief information officer. Those.
I think almost all of the positions.
Now, I think right now our risk officer and our security officer, I think, are combined. So some of these positions are combined. But when I ran my home business, you think I hired people for all those positions? No, they were all me. Okay? So, it'd be nice to have enough for this. But it really depends on the size of your organization. Okay? Policies and standards and practices. Okay? It says management from communities of interest must make policies the basis for all planning. Look what other people are doing. Look at CERT. Look at NIST. Look what the government's doing and develop upon that. Okay. 802.11. Y'all know what that is? Anybody? 802.11n maybe? Wi-Fi. Okay. 802.11n, when it first came out, I realized you guys, half of you were really young, but it was on Draft 1. What that means is they implement it, but it's not really perfected yet. Then they come out with Draft 2, which is a little bit better. Then Draft 3, which is a little. Then they finally come out to versions that's really usable. But they had this stuff available in stores at Draft 1, and people were buying it. It's like, dude, you're buying something that is like.
You're buying it complete.
Yeah, it's like it might work, but the odds are, you buy this router, this Draft 1, you buy this laptop, they might communicate if you're lucky.
You bought the beta version.
Right, that's what they were doing. You were buying the beta version of stuff. The problem was 802.11, and it took so long to come out. It took, 6 years, I think, something like that, before it was actually implemented fully. So it was crazy. So, it's tough. So working with policies, it's hard to. Sometimes you got to be the guy in the front lines making the policies. Maybe we got a brand new remote control out there in the market. You might have be the guy who tells us how to implement it. I actually saw a movie once. You all built furniture and stuff like that before, haven't you? Go to Walmart and buy that stupid shelf and have to put it together.
Like the IKEA stuff.
Yeah, the IKEA stuff. Well, there was a movie about a guy who actually makes that stuff. What they do is they ship the completed item to the person, and they kind of reverse engineer how it's put together, and then write the instructions on how to put it together correctly. That's why they really suck. That's why when you put this stuff together, you don't always have to follow it in order, because when they build it, they just build it. They don't provide the guy, and it's kind of like textbooks. An author will write a textbook, and then somebody else will write all the exercises and slides, and a lot of times the slides don't match up right, or they're not complete. The best one was I was teaching a wireless class, and slides, you're really supposed to only have 6 lines per slide, no more than 6 words per line. That's the golden rule. Obviously, we don't stick with it perfectly. And you're not supposed to have a period at the end of each line. Obviously, we do. But in this wireless class, someone got in and said, there are not supposed to have periods at the end of the line. Global, find all periods and delete them. What do you think they did with IP addresses? Now, all of a sudden, you got this grouping of numbers. Like, oh, great. And 802.11 is 802.11 now. It's like, wow. It was like they didn't put a lot of thought into that. It was kind of funny.
That caused some problems?
Yeah, a lot of problems. You go to, it's like, what? It was, So policies should never contradict law. If a law says X, you should not do Y, which contradicts X. Okay? Makes sense. So we have a law that says no texting. So you cannot write a policy that says if the president texts you while you're driving, you must answer immediately. I mean, you can't do that because it's contradicting a law. Okay? Policies are least expensive controls to execute but most difficult to implement properly. Writing a policy is not hard. Implementing it is not hard. Implementing it correctly is harder. Okay? So policy functions organizational law. This is what Rose State. We have a drug enforcement policy here at Rose State. They can fire me from Rose State if I don't follow it. It specifically says I cannot drink alcohol on campus. So if I'm down in my office getting drunk, what could they do to me? They could fire me. Could they call the cops?
No.
They could call the cops to escort me off campus and fire me, but they couldn't call the cops to to arrest me because I'm really breaking a law. So it's not contradicting the law. You see the difference there? Okay. Standards, more detailed statements of what must be done to comply with the policy. So we have the student handbook is kind of an example. It has standards of conduct for students. What should you do? You should not cheat. You should do this. So there's standards. Policies, procedures, and guidance. Says effectively explain how to comply. How are you going to do all this stuff? Okay. All right. To be effective, it must be disseminated, and that was obviously a test question. I think most of you got there, and it was funny because most of you had the spelling exactly the same. So I knew you all copied and pasted it. So, all right, and here's a wonderful picture. Okay, enterprise policies. Enterprise is something huge. Okay. Strategic direction, scope, and tone for all security efforts. So, just a large section. I'm going to just barely touch on a few of these here. Should include overview of corporate security philosophy. So, maybe work at Dell. Dell's a huge business right now. Hopefully you realize that. So I'm assuming there's some policy written way at the top level that pertains to all Dell organizations. Okay? This is what Michael Dell wants. But then I'm assuming Oklahoma City probably has other policies that pertain just to Oklahoma City. Like Oklahoma City Dell office, you cannot smoke on campus. Would you expect the Dell corporate, Michael Dell, to make a policy no smoking on Dell? That seems like it would be kind of hard for him to require it in every Dell organization. Okay, whereas the no smoking sounds like something you might want to do at each location. Okay, just again, that's my opinion. It might not be true, but okay. So security philosophy. What are you going to do? Is antivirus required? How many of you are running antivirus at home? Okay, is there anybody who's not? I'm not. Anyone know why? Y'all should know why. I'm running a Mac. Okay. And now I do have, I think it's Bitdefender on mine. It's more of a malware scan, but it's not an active antivirus running because there's not a real good one out there for Mac because they don't really get infected all that much. Okay. So, do you think it would be a good policy to say all students should run antivirus? I think. Let me tell you what happened when I went to the University of Tulsa. They required antivirus. Now, what happens when they require antivirus at the University of Tulsa?
They have to provide it.
They have to provide it to you. The moment it's required, they must provide it to you. It was funny because the University of Tulsa, when you plug your computer into the network, first thing it does is scans your computer. If it finds something wrong, it quarantines your computer and gives you a certain time period to fix it. Then it scans it again. I think it does this 3 times. And then if you still haven't fixed it at that point, what do you think it does? It kicks you off, but also submits a trouble ticket for someone to come out to your location to fix it. Because think about it. Maybe I'm an English major. Do you really think I'm going to know how to install an antivirus? And no. So what they do is, hey, we're going to give you a couple chances to fix it on your own. Because what would happen was, it would give you, if you needed Windows updates, it would allow you to go to Windows updates. If you need antivirus, it would allow you to their internal page to download antivirus. But if you, didn't get it done, then they come out and help you do it, which was awesome. I thought it was an amazing policy. I think Rose State should do something like that. But that's very expensive. Very, very expensive to implement. Okay. Statement, elements of it. I'm not going to talk about all that. That's for the large one. Issue-specific security policy. Okay. Pertains to specific areas. Okay. Says addresses specific areas of technology, requires frequent updates. So if we had a policy about cell phone usage, maybe one that pertains to iPhones, and because obviously iPhones and Androids are totally different. So if I'm making a cell phone usage policy, maybe you want a specific one specific to what you're doing. Okay. It says create a number of independent ones, create a single comprehensive document, and create a modular document. A couple different ways you could do it. Okay, right. Here we go. Statement, statement of policy, authorized access, prohibited use of equipment, just lots of different things you can do. What happens if you violate it? Some of you actually talked about violations in your policy, which were good, and some of you didn't. There's the review and modification. Okay. And also limitations of liability. Is Rose State responsible if you do something? Okay. So you accidentally click on a link and download a virus and affect the entire campus. You think Rose State should sue you and you go to jail? Probably not. Now, if you did it on purpose, probably they should. But, okay, and there's, again, some components of it there. System-specific policy. Maybe we have a system pertains to our database systems. Our database servers, maybe our workstations. Okay. It says use when configuring or maintaining systems. Okay. Could have technical specifications. Again, these have to be changed very frequently. Access control lists. Who access to what? And you can talk about more about those. In the network security class, and I think later on in this class as well. Okay. So, policy management. Who's in charge of all this stuff? Rose State had a policy committee that met in 2008. Was the last time they met. And I kept going after our IT services department and saying, hey, when's this committee meeting again? Because it said they met in 2008, and it said the next meeting date is to be determined. So guess what they finally did? They deleted that reference to when they ever met. It's like, seriously? So basically you just deleted the whole committee, so they're not going to meet. Because what it was is we hired a lawyer. Our HR person was a lawyer. That's where we started getting all these she was in charge of the policy committee and all that. Once she left, we kind of slacked off some, but all right. Okay. So who's in charge of it? Schedule reviews. Obviously, reviews have issues. You can see that. But OU's was actually done in December. That was really pretty good. So, policy issuance and revision date, automatic policy management. What you could do. I don't know. Does anyone here pay taxes and stuff like that? We're talking the property taxes. No one paid. Y'all are too young for that stuff. Well, I pay property taxes every December. This last year, mine were $3,400. Sucks. It's just the property taxes on my house. So what do you think I should do? Wait around until December 15th hits. Damn it, I need $3,400. Where am I going to get it real quick? Is that a good plan? Or should I start saving for it? So what I do is, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this. It's called Smarty Pig. I don't know if you ever heard of that. SmartyPig.com. I actually go in there. It's a website. It's free. It's a bank, actually. I go in there and set a goal. I need $3,400 on December 15th. And what I do is I put in $100 or whatever I want to start, and then it automatically takes money out of my checking account each month so that by December 15th I have $3,400. So when December 15th comes around, I transfer that into my checking account to pay taxes, and then I create a new goal for next year. So in other words, I'm kind of automating the policy of paying my property taxes this way. The money's already there. You could do the same with this stuff here. Make a policy. So if you're going to put in there that it's due to be revised on February 15th, do it, and then make another calendar entry. Make it happen every year. You know how you can make recurring events? Have it pop up that it's due February 15th every year, and notify you a month early, or notify you 2 weeks early, or a week early. When I was going to school, I used to use Task Manager. Like in Outlook, you can add tasks. Anytime there was an assignment, I always list them all in there. The moment I learned about an assignment, I listed it in there. And I thought of a decent time period. So normally it was a week out. And a week out, I set a reminder to remind me to work on this assignment. That way, if I wasn't working on it, I still have a week, so I could start working on it. Same kind of thing here. Make a policy, make something to remind you to update them. Obviously, our guy didn't because they haven't been updated since 2014. Okay. Blueprints, it says basis for design. Just like the blueprints for a house, there's blueprints. SANS has wonderful ones. SANS.org. Did anyone go there and look for policies? No one went there? They're very, 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 very good. If you go to SANS.org, SANS has tons of stuff on here. Resources, webcasts, blogs, posters. Come on, I know they're in here somewhere. I know they're in here. Anyone see them? Ooh, the top 25 programming errors. I've never seen that. Oh, here's some of the issuance. But I might have to come back and look at this. But SANS has lots of stuff. It's got to be in here somewhere. Overview, reading room, posters, critical security. Oh, there it is. Security policy project. Maybe I want a general policy. Maybe I want an acceptable use policy. Oh, look. There's a document template right here. Well, look at that. And these are totally free to be used. That's the whole point of SANS. It's to spread the knowledge. Now, might be a little excessive, but look what they got here at the bottom. Oh, it was revised in this date. So, trust me, if you're not using SANS, you really need to. So, what the heck is a clean desk policy? You must clean your desk before you're home. Important to ensure all sensitive and controlled data. Yeah, I couldn't see that happening on here. But, so SANS, really, really, really good place to find stuff. Here's some old stuff. DMZ lab security policy. Look under servers. Lab security policy, network security, router configuration, lots of policies in here. So, end user encryption key policy, ethics. Here's email. Don't use email for something you shouldn't do it. Let's see, purpose, scope. There's the policy, compliance with it. So, a really good place to get information from. And again, like they said, if you're not using a blueprint, you're kind of hurting yourself. Okay, so. Go look at these blueprints, okay? The 7000 series is security books. They came out years ago. They originally started with the Rainbow series and the Orange book and stuff like that. Policies of how to implement security. Well, they're always updating them, and they list a lot of them on here, okay? Just tons of information. And I tell you, if you ever get a job at the FAA, you're going to have to know this stuff. What's the company we just went to? Booz, Allen, and Hamilton. They actually want to hire some of our students. Most of their jobs are policy. Tons of money to be made in this area. Probably more money to be made in policy than anywhere else. I just couldn't do it all day long. Okay. Some of the security models. They talk about a few of them here. Here's 800-14. It says security responsibilities, accountability should be explicit. So they go on in great depth on all of these. I'm not going to go through all of them. But the next thing they talk about is the Cybersecurity Framework. This is new. Okay. Originally we had what's called the CNSS security model, hence the certificates we still offer here through June, then they're going away. They've been replaced by the Cybersecurity Framework. Okay. It basically says, hey, if you want to hire someone to be in charge of this, they need to know this. So kind of a cool system. But there's a lot of stuff out there. Okay. Other frameworks, the federal agency security policies, the CERT. CERT is another amazing place. Computer Emergency Response Team. Let's go to CERT's page real quick. CERT dot. Is it org or gov? No, it's org. Okay. Software Institute. They just have lots of information in here as well. They have a lot of stuff about security vulnerabilities when they happen. Okay. I want information for systems administrators. And it's loading. Okay. Different blogs, some of the different risks involved, insider threat training, controls and indicators, just lots of information on CERT's page as well. Okay. Let's see. Designing the architecture. Okay. They talk about management controls, operational controls. Well, what the difference is, obviously management's high level, operations lower, but then the technical is what we actually do. I was talking to someone the other day, why are we talking about this? But I worked as a jet engine mechanic. That's what I was trained for in the military. I worked on F-4 fighters, and I worked on E-3 AWACS. I worked on their jet engines. And our technical documents back then were called tech orders. And it told us how to fix a plane. Anything we needed to do was in this document. Everything. It was literally, there was tons, many volumes of these documents. One of the documents said there was something called a keel wide duct. I'm assuming we've all been on a plane before. Y'all know how the planes are pressurized? Where they get that air from? Actually comes off the engines. It comes off about the 9th stage. The engine has a whole bunch of compressor stages in it, blades spinning. About the 9th stage in, they suck air out of it, and that's what they use to pressurize the cockpits and the cabins. Well, on a fighter plane, there's 2 engines, and there's a duct called the keel wide duct, which took the air off the engines and routes it up into the cockpit area. Well, our technical document, our technical control said if this duct is cracked in any way, throw it away. Basically give it for recycling. So what do you think we did? We looked at them. They were cracked. We throw them away, just like our technical order said to do. And one day some dude was walking through our office because we had a lot of metal recycling going on. And he's like, man, why are you guys throwing all these ducts away? We're like, they're cracked. Right here, document says, cracked duct, throw it away. You're turning it for recycling. Well, he's like, that's stupid. Why don't you guys weld them? Document says, throw them away. So he submitted an Air Force suggestion. Why didn't someone see about welding those things? And the way the Air Force suggestion program works, whatever money is saved in the first year after implementation of this suggestion, you get half of it. The dude got a check for $16,000 just for saying, hey, why don't you weld those stupid things? So the point is, you might have technical controls, but you as a worker might need to also look at them and say, hey, this is stupid. Especially now that technology is changing all the time. Obviously, we know policies are outdated, so that's just my 2 cents. You need to take them with a grain of salt. Do what they say, but also think what you're doing. Make sure it's not stupid. All right, security fears of control. They talk about how people, you can all look at the pictures on your own. Defense in depth, kind of important. So let's talk about defense in depth here at Rose State. So starting internally, we have computers at our desks. Okay? We have a login and password. That's one form. Well, this room, they don't really have so much. They do, but it's all the same. So we have that. Then we have a door. Then we have an external door. Then we have cameras. And then we have a security team. So you see, I have multiple layers of security. If we're talking about Tinker, obviously they have login and password, but then they have doors, and then they have guards, and then they have gates, and then they have dogs, and then, So defense in depth, multiple different layers. Okay. You would hate to have one thing that lets you into everything. When I worked when I ran my company, we had some machines that stored credit card information. Those machines had to be behind 2 separate locks. The policies enforced by PCI basically says they had to be behind 2 locks that open with different keys. So in other words, you could not have one key to open the front door and that same key open the server door. So you had to have 2 separate doors. So, it's kind of a cool idea. So that's an example of defense in depth. Okay. Multiple layers of controls. So security boundary says border of security protecting internal systems from outside threats. We have a firewall here. Everybody should, I'm assuming we all have firewalls at our house. Do you all have firewalls at your house? Now yours is probably built into your routers. You all have some sort of router or cable modem with router hopefully built in at that point. An easy way to tell if you have a router or not, look at your IP address from home. So when you're sitting at home, go to the command prompt and type ipconfig. If that IP address it gives you starts with a 10 or starts with a 192 or a 172, that's private, which means you're behind a router. If it starts with a 66 or any other number, anything other than a 10, a 192 or a 172. Starts with any other number, you're safe. But yeah, tens, those three numbers you're safe. Any other number you're not safe. You understand that? So if you did that and it said 164, then I would knew that we are not private at this point. Okay? All right. Let's see what else. Here we have an untrusted network. We have a filtering router. Then we have a dual home proxy server. What a proxy server is it can download stuff for you. Okay? It can also be function as a filter. Like maybe, I know middle schools, they filter out what students can surf on the internet. So what it is, you ask the proxy server, hey, research remote controls. And the proxy server is going to be like, oh, okay, and it'll do it. But if you wanted to search something that was restricted, at that point it could block it. So we have some internal routers with some sort of VPN, which could be a virtual private network. Then we have our internal network, which is a lot less secure. So if you're a bad guy, plugging something into this room, you're internal now. So it's, inside Rose State, and you're more of a threat. Okay. All right, here we go. We have a router. We have another firewall. These could be combined into one. They don't have to be, but they could. Then we have something called the demilitarized zone. Rose State, we have a mail server and a file server. Those are things kind of inside, but kind of outside as well. It's in a separate part of the network that, like, when we receive email, obviously we have to let that into the network. But we don't need to let it into the entire network because it wouldn't be as secure. That's what the DMZ is. Okay, security, education, awareness, and training. We're doing that now. Okay, they talk about each one. Security education. Everybody needs to have some sort of education. But do we really need to send everybody in an organization to an official class? What do you think? So with Tinker, they require the Security Plus certification now. Does that mean every person on Tinker is going to go get the Security Plus? What do you think? Everybody that works in IT will. But you really think the guy that mows the lawn is going to go get a Security Plus training? How about the guy who works out of jet engines? Probably not. So education is available, just not everybody. And then training, right? Maybe we're going to come up with some in-house training. Everybody's going to have access to email. So the guy mowing the lawn and working on the engine is still going to have email. So maybe we're going to have a separate training class on how to use email correctly. He doesn't need to get a Security Plus training, but he needs to know how to use email. And maybe we're going to put out some security bulletins about not sharing your password and stuff like that. Okay. So designed to keep information security at the forefront of the user's minds. Okay. I think we do a terrible job of that here at Rose State. Most places do a terrible job. I don't know where, I'm assuming some of you work, maybe. Anybody work? Does your job ever have any sort of security bulletins or, like today? Actually, we did get one today. There was a new thread on campus, an email with an invoice. Here's the invoice you requested. Don't open it. Obviously, it's not right. Okay. But the question is, are they people trained on what to do with that? So our IT services sent an email. If you receive an email that says something about an invoice, don't open it. So that's part of our awareness program. But I still think we could do better than that. Okay. Need not to be complicated or expensive. You don't want it complicated. What happens if something's complicated?
People don't follow it.
Exactly. They don't follow it. They're going to ignore it. Like, it's funny. Our head of marketing wrote this new article and sent it to me on Friday. I wasn't here Friday. Wanted me to review it. And it had a lot of words in it. It was very long. And she got after the dean today. Can you ask Ken to review that article? I'm like, oh, jeez. So, it was very long. So I'm kind of one. I always tell people, if you guys send me an email and it's one question, you'll probably get an answer pretty quickly. But if you send me an email with 10 questions, I might answer one if you're lucky, or I might not answer any and get to it some other day. So, all right. All right, and there's a little more about the why, when, where. Continuity strategies. What happens if we have an outage? Okay. Can we continue to work? So, incident response plans. We have a flood. What's happening in New England right now? They're having their 4th snowfall in 3 days. See, I'm from Connecticut. I love those days. Now, we had snow days, but our snow days were like only four-wheel drive vehicles are allowed, and they had chains on the buses. Here, we get this much snow and they close. Not up there. But so what are you going to do in case of snow? Well, what are you going to do in case of a virus? Business recovery plans. What happens if this building gets wiped out? What I think would be awesome, Rose State should work with OKCCC. Have a policy in place. Rose State gets wiped out, we can borrow their space until we, share some rooms or something. OKCCC gets wiped out, they can share some rooms with us. I mean, we kind of have the same stuff. We teach classes, so it would work out. I don't know if we have anything like that. Okay. Business continuity plans, how can we continue to function? What happens if we lose power? Okay, say we lose power on April 1st. Y'all know what's happening the first week in April? That's when enrollment starts. So you think it's going to be an issue if we lose internet on the first week in April? Yeah, because that's when the heaviest enrollment happens. So do they have anything in place? I don't know. So, all right. So there's some of the different things we just mentioned. So before planning can begin, a team has to start the process. Somebody has to be in charge of it. And I've been in charge of it many times. Okay. Did I ever tell you about the red carpet team I worked at Tinker? I don't know if I told this class. Well, I was on the red carpet team. This team never met. I was just on that team. Finally, we met one time. And it basically, they gave me a piece of paper that says, go to this room and take this piece of equipment. Take it to the chapel. And it basically, that's what it said. So I had to go to the specific room. What it was is if there was a visiting committee or someone coming in that needed network access real quickly, rather than going and say that we're in an office right here, rather than coming to this office and taking everything, and now this entire office is dead in the water, we go to one office and take a monitor, another office take a printer, another office take a PC. So we're taking a little bit from all these different locations, but enough stuff to make a usable product. So that was the red carpet team. So one day we actually got implemented. It was real training, but it was funny. So I walked in there and I'm like, I need to take your monitor. And they're like, you can't have it. I'm like, I got a letter from the commander says I can take your monitor. And I took the monitor. But it actually worked. Because we all got all our stuff, went to the library, and it worked. We had all the right stuff, and we had to put it all together, and we had to bring up a web page or something to prove we had internet access, and it worked. So, we actually have a policy, we implemented it, and we tested it, and, it was kind of fun. All right. So, talk about, contingency planning timeline. We have an incident, then what are we going to do? How are you going to recover from it? Okay. We have a disaster, what do we do from that? Okay. Rose State gets wiped out. Communication center got hit by a tornado years ago. What do you do? Okay. Business continuity, so we have an attack. How do we continue to function from that point? We have alternate locations. Okay. So, we come up with a policy. Now, you're going to talk more about this stuff in the ISM class. And hopefully you guys are looking over some of this stuff on your own. All right. So, planned maintenance is a biggie. That's what, again, most of you, not all, but some of you left off. Okay. Okay, we're almost done here. Continuity plan, they talk about all the different things involved. I kind of mentioned a lot of these already. All right, there's the business impact analysis. What does it do to the business? When I ran my business, I took care of a website for Sergeant Grit Marine Specialties, sold stuff for Marines. He would literally sell, I think the last time I was out of his place, he was expecting to sell $9 million that year. If his network went down, that's a very large business impact. Okay, so crazy stuff. So you got to have something in place for all that. Incident response planning. After you make this policy, do you actually test it? That's a very important thing. Okay. All right. Let's see.
Do you still run anything like that?
I don't anymore. I needed a vacation, and I was on call 24/7, 365.
Sounds like it.
And I still remember when I finally got rid of my business. It was so funny. I took my phone and I went on vacation. And I turned it off. And I'm like, dude, it's off.
Freedom.
Hasn't been off in years. Drives my boss crazy. Because I'll answer emails when I'm on cruise ships. I had a couple semesters ago, I had a student who messaged me, I'm sorry, I can't submit my homework this week. I'm on a cruise ship. So I replied, well, I'm currently on a cruise ship grading your homework. I don't think you'll have a problem at all. So, internet's everywhere nowadays. So,
I can see you on the ship with me.
You're right.
and actually, about a year and a half ago, without even knowing it, our dean ended up on the same cruise as me. Like, what the hell? We had just ended up on the same cruise ship. So he wasn't the dean at the time, but it was kind of funny. But all right, what do you do if something happens? Again, hopefully you're going to have a policy in place. You're going to go to SANS. You're going to get one, and you're going to make it. Okay. Disaster recovery. Again, how do you recover from a disaster? We talked about that. How do we continue to function in case of something? Die Hard. I love Die Hard movies, by the way. Die Hard 4. Remember when they had the fire sale? Anyone watch that movie? Okay, who watched it? Someone had to watch it.
What's it? It's not Die Hard 4, is it? It's got something attached to it.
Yeah, live long, live free, die hard, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, live free, die hard. But they kind of had, if something happens, it would cause everything to dump a backup copy. We got stuff like that. We do. We have backup copies of our backup copies. I have backup copies of my backup copies of everything. Because I had a student who I graded his homework on Monday, and he missed part of it. He didn't submit, in my other class, he didn't submit part of the thing I needed. And today he's like, oh, I deleted it. No. Who submits an assignment and deletes it? If you guys, one thing you need to learn from all this, never delete an assignment, ever. I have every email from back in 2000 when I got hired here. I have every assignment I've ever completed, written, assigned, graded, everything. Because you never know when you need it again. You never know. This computer usage policy right here, maybe you need to write something in ISM. He's like, oh, I deleted it after I submitted it. No, what idiot does that? So he didn't get full credit, except no. So, all right, crisis management. Look at the bottom. Rehearsal. Actually make sure the red carpet thing works. Again, it did. It was kind of fun. Okay. Keep the public informed. We had a shooting on campus here. A year ago? Was anyone here then? Was over by the gym? Actually was a theft happened across the street in that housing addition. Then it was like 3 a.m. The dude ran through Rose State and got shot over on the other side of the gym. They went to notify everybody. Oh, our student notification system had expired and no one renewed it. Good time to learn. Obviously, we have a new system in place now, but keep people informed. Why are there helicopters flying over Rome State? That kind of stuff. So you got to keep people informed. Alert rosters, kind of, who do you know? Who do you let know? That's what drives me crazy. We haven't been, Rose State closed so far this year twice. Really didn't affect you guys. School wasn't in session yet. They closed at 6:40 in the morning. Dude, I'm here at 6:30 usually. So if you close at 6:40, I'm already here. So it sucks, but All right, I think law enforcement. Should you get law enforcement? Should you always call the cops? No. And I'll tell you, one of my customers did have a credit card breach. Called the cops, called the OSBI. He said he will never, ever do that again. You wouldn't believe the hassle once you do that. You should do it, but it's just so much. Target, they had a breach. Did they lose any market share because of that? Probably. I think they lost more from their bathroom policy, but, All right. So, should you bring them in or not? It says agencies may be better equipped than you, but they may not be better equipped than you. Do you really think Midland City Police Department has a forensics unit? No, they don't. They grab the computers and send them to OSBI and hear back in about 9 months. So, okay.
Well, now that credit card fraud, like the banks themselves or whoever you have your card through handles it a lot better than
they're
filing anything.
They're doing it much better now. They're like, oh yeah, just say it's fraud.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they pay you back for every penny that might have been stolen.
Right.
Yeah.
When I had my Discover card stolen for about $17,000, they came to me and says, okay, Here's a list. What's the last charge you made? And I told them, I said, okay, the rest are gone. No fees, no nothing. Now, once it was all totally over and done with, they did contact me about 2 months later. Say, hey, there's like a $13 charge at Sam's for gas. We see that you did buy a lot of gas at Sam's. Could this be yours? I'm going to say, yeah, that looks like mine. So I paid. But, yeah, they're like, yeah, we'll wipe it out. That's why there's interest rates and finance charges and all that other stuff.
Well, they even did that with, I had a debit card. My debit card gets stolen. They asked me about my last transactions. I was in Texas and it got stolen here. I was out of town.
Yeah.
And somebody here, stole my information or whatever and used it. And they gave me back the money.
Huh,
No question.
nice. Yeah, well, first of all, they don't want to lose you as a customer. Yeah. Discover card. I had Discover. Actually, I still have a Discover card. It was funny because I want to get rid of it because I've been a Discover card customer since 1986. I want to get rid of it, and they're like, "Why are you getting rid of it?" I says, "I don't use it very much." And they're like, "But you use it once in a while." I says, "Yeah, but I got so many other credit cards. I have like $150,000 limit on all my credit cards." And they're like, no, don't get rid of it, just in case. I'm like, but I don't need it. I have a 0 interest rate on my Discover card. Forever. They're like, I'll tell you what, you keep it. If you ever use it, no interest. Well, think about it. If I do use it, the merchant pays the fee. I don't know if y'all realize that. When you go to Walmart and you use a credit card, not a debit card. Now, if you use your debit card as a credit, it's okay. They pay a fee. So every time you do that, think of it, you're sticking a knife in Walmart's back. I'm getting 1%. So every time you use a credit card as a credit card, the merchant has to pay a fee. When I accepted credit cards, I had to pay like 25 cents and 1.5%. Obviously, Walmart pays a lot less than that due to their volume. But they pay a fee. So Discover card's not getting interest from me anyway because I always pay my bill off. So they weren't paying me, they weren't getting interest or anything. So now they're possibly getting a transaction fee from Walmart. So, yeah, it's pretty good that way. So, all right. But once law enforcement takes over, it's a lot harder. It says the organization cannot control what happens at that point. So, law enforcement stuff. So, all right, that's the end of Chapter 4. And the assignment for Chapter 4, which still kind of pertains to Chapter 4, is redoing your security policy. So, all righty. Let me stop this.